Hi everyone, it's Lady Lex UK and this is Talking Dreams. A little bit special today, instead of just one person, I have got two. So we've got Cadillac Studios, which is Frank Cadillac and Magneto 2003. Hi guys.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi. um, so I don't know how this is going to work for answering the questions. I don't know if I should direct the questions to you and say, or whether it's going to be a free for all, but we'll see how it works out.
Okay.
Try not to speak over each other, I guess, is the only thing I could say. Right, so let's do some stats to start off with, so we know who you are. So we've got two players. We've got Cadillac Studios. You don't have a separate account for that, do you? You don't have a PSN account?
No.
No.
No. Right. Okay. So we've got Magneto 2003 has been playing Dreams for 146 hours. Does that sound right to you?
It sounds very low.
Yeah.
But actively playing, it's there and thereabouts. But yeah, it does sound quite low. It's definitely the game that I've most played this year, and considering we've been in lockdown, I've been on it almost every day. So yeah, it does sound low.
Sounds low. Yeah, because
Yeah.
that's what the Booger Van said, and that's what I think too. I think mine's a bit low, but
It depends what it classes as when you're playing, I suppose. Does it start the time from when you start the game, or
I have no
what is it?
idea.
Yeah.
I don't actually no clue as to
No.
where that information is coming from. Other than the fact it's come from In Dreams, but I don't.
Yeah.
It's not 146 hours on In Dreams, if you know what I mean. It is playing the game, but mine
Yeah.
seems low. So I don't know how accurate they are. I just thought I'd ask. You've got 140 creation. Now this is the interesting thing. So there's 146 hours from you. Frank has got 480 hours, which is almost three times the amount. But the creations are quite similar. Magneto's got 140 and Frank has got 169.
Yeah.
Are you surprised it's that amount, that number?
Um, well, I'm not too surprised. I don't release a amount of stuff. I find I'm doing a lot of work on it all the time, and I never sort of get around to properly finishing it. So, but I mean, I suppose I should release it as an online version. But I feel sometimes that it's not in a state that I'd like other people to see it.
It doesn't bother a lot of people. They just launch any old stuff. But
Mm.
but no,
Yeah, no, I know.
you want to keep the quality up, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I think when I was doing stuff, I was releasing stuff that was pretty shoddy, to be honest, because I was learning the game as we went. But the way I do things now is that if I'm working on a project and I create something, for example, on there we've got egg chairs and things like that. If I create something that I feel like someone will use, then I'll release that as a separate creation as soon as I've done it. That also allows me, whilst I'm working on a project and using those elements, I can just go and drag and drop them into the project as opposed to having them saved. I've obviously got them saved and released. So that's the reason why I've got so many out there, I think.
Right. And you don't mind other people using them?
No, I mean, I've got no problem whatsoever with people using them. Obviously, our bigger projects, the games that we're working on and the work in progress is, I probably would have a bit of an issue. But in terms of the elements, the more people that use them, the better, as far as I'm concerned.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I don't really have a problem with people using my stuff either. I like it to be finished.
Well, yeah. Yeah. Right, so when it comes to playing Dreams, then Magneto's played 1,193 games, and Frank has done 3,582. Do you feel like you do a lot of playing?
Um, I wouldn't say I don't do as much playing as I do creating, definitely.
Yeah,
But
I don't.
I do. Go on.
Sorry, Frank, you go.
No, I was just saying, but I do. If I've got a spare 5 minutes or in between things, I'll have a bit of a dream surf, and play a few things or go and try some of the game jam entries out.
Yeah, I didn't play anything for the first. I mean, for the first, I suppose, 6 to 8 months that I had it. I wasn't really that interested in playing. I was more interested in just getting stuck in and learning the tools. But as I've gone through it and I've started submitting stuff to jams and stuff like that, I almost see it as sort of a responsibility of creating that you then also have to do that part. So I don't play as much as I should, but I always dedicate a good amount of time, at least once a week, to go through obviously the notifications and then through the jam entries, because I mean you can't moan about your jam stuff not getting voted on if you're not in there voting for stuff yourself. So
That sounds very fair.
Mm-hmm.
so I'm doing more of it now.
I gave up on the game jams a while ago. Having said that, recently it intrigued me a bit. Some of the titles I thought were more interesting than they've been. So I have been going back to playing some more of the game jam games, but I did leave them for quite a bit because I wasn't really interested in summer elements and things like that. You know, it's like.
I think to support the system, you've also got to be a little bit cutthroat with it, because obviously you've got the irrelevant button now, which is really good, and you can not vote, which is good as well. So I think if you're a bit cutthroat with it, it sort of purifies the jam a little bit more, because there are loads and loads of stuff in those jams that are completely irrelevant, that you need to try and drive out a little bit without hindering someone's creativity. It's probably quite rough to say, but to make the jam as good as it can be, then people have got to go in there and they've got to be a little bit brutal with their voting, I think.
Well, there's no point in going there and voting for everything, certainly.
No, definitely not.
There's also no point in going there and never voting on anybody because your standards are too high. So, I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Except everybody has, and how many games you actually are willing to play, because some of those jams have got like thousands of entries. I mean, you can't play them all.
You'd never get through them all.
No. So, yeah, it's an interesting one, the game jams. I'm not a huge fan of them, I will say. I understand them. I understand what they are for, but I don't. I'm not sure that they're as good as they could be.
No, I have to say I don't go on them for very long, and I think it's mainly because of the irrelevant stuff.
The issue for me is, sorry Frank, the issue for me is that it doesn't necessarily link you to a creator or anything else like that. It's almost like a blind vote. Whereas if you go into the jam, once the jam's finished and you have a look at the participants, obviously you can see first, second, third, and then as you scroll along you can see everyone else who's been voted for. That's usually where I spend a lot of my time playing, because I can scroll along and I can see stuff that's quite popular and I'll look into it, or that's usually where I spend my time when it comes to playing.
You do know in the voting thing it comes up as the history tab, so you can see who made it.
Oh right, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's two tabs. There's so if you go to the history and you open that up, it shows you how you voted and who they are and what the game is, and you can send that to a collection or whatever you want to do.
That's great.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know about that.
Yeah.
You included, but there we go. So there we are. You try that out next time. There's an extra tab.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's really good if you really liked a game and you just didn't want to spend. You thought, I'm going to spend an hour looking at game jam games. This one's really good, and I want to play this more. But I've got other games to play. It's really good that there's that history, so because then you can find it again much easier.
It's almost like a bookmark, isn't it? It's really good.
Yeah, it's really handy. Anyway, how do you two know each other then?
We've been playing. I know a friend of Frank's through a friend of my brother, and we were playing games online for years, really, weren't we, Frank? Probably since
Call of Duty, I think. Call of Duty 2, I think, 1 or 2.
Yeah, and then Frank had a birthday party in which he was able to invite a load of people to Airsoft, odd Quasar type thing. And he was kind enough to invite us, and we all met up, didn't we, Frank?
Yeah, it was a great night. But I didn't like getting electrocuted. by
Yeah.
shot.
So you actually know what each other looks like. It's not just
Yes.
not just
Yeah.
an internet thing. That's really great. It's like, do people actually make friends offline these days? It's like, wow, fantastic.
Yeah.
So you've known each other for a long time, but is this the only place that you've ever made games together?
Yes, definitely.
Right. So how did you find out about Dreams? That's my normal first question. And while you're doing that, I'm going to play a game. And you suggested Space Fraction, which
Yes.
was one of Frank's games.
Uh-huh.
It says, due to school closures and to help my son learn while in lockdown, this is an educational space-themed dream to teach fractions. Well, that's lovely. I just need some maths right now.
It's wholesome.
Just hope that message comes through.
Oh no, it's too late in the evening for me to be doing maths. Come on. But anyway, let's see.
It's quite easy. But no, I mean, I've been following Media Molecule for years, ever since sort of Little Big Planet. I had Little Big Planet 1, Little Big 2. And I did hear during Little Big Planet 2, I think they did hear sort of a rumour that they were making something sort of 3D. Didn't really know how it was going to be. I just assumed it would be sort of a Sackboy, another iteration of Little Big Planet. And then I started seeing them sort of showcasing it to different developers and things. So I was just watching live streams all the time of them showing it, and I just got really super excited about it. And then when I heard about the alpha, of course, immediately signed up to that. Got into that, and so I think we had to sign up to the beta as well. I can't quite remember. I did that, and I've just loved it ever since. And I think I've sort of put a lot of games down for Dreams, and I don't know if you heard of it before, Sam, but I do remember mentioning it to you. So I don't know if that's how I got you into it, or whether you heard about it before.
Yeah, well, I'd never followed anything from Media Molecule previously. I had Little Big Planet, all of the iterations. I found them massively boring. Every single one of them probably lasted 30 minutes on each one of them. My little boy liked them to a certain extent, and then Frank told me about this thing called Dreams. He pushed me to sign up for the beta, and signed up for it, and that was history really. As soon as we got into it, I think Frank was creating a lot more than me in the early days, and then we started doing stuff together. So yeah, that was how it was.
Sorry, I'm trying to concentrate what you're saying and concentrate on these fractions. And I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do now. I've filled it a third. Now what do I do?
Now push. I think you now have to push square when you're ready to load it.
Right.
Yeah, the load.
I have played this.
Have you?
Yes, I sort of recognise it when I started. It's like, oh yeah, this is when you. Okay, yes, I have played this.
Here we are.
I'll have to put this in my educational collection.
Yeah.
I had trouble with it when I first played it.
Did you?
Yeah, I did, but not great at math.
Well, it's doing something. The rocket's going up and everything. So when you came to choose your studio name, did you go through a lot of names before you came out with Mag Cadillac, or was that it straight away? Just something simple, both our names, that'll do.
It was my suggestion, I think. Frank, you weren't too enamoured by it, were you, initially?
I wasn't to start with. It's sort of grown on me. But I did sort of want something a bit more, I don't know, memorable.
Wacky?
Yeah, wacky, memorable.
I think we'll probably change it, won't we, in the near future? It's just it was just a sort of a holding name, I think.
Yeah. But we did sort of to and fro on messenger sort of saying, what about this, what about this. Yeah, I think he decided we might have something to do with squids.
I'm hoping everybody can hear us, because I have turned it down, the sound, but I'm a bit concerned.
It's quite loud, this one, isn't it? Yeah,
it is quite loud. Let me just turn the audio down a little bit more. I had it on 6, but let's just turn it down to 4. There we go. Hopefully that. Let me see what. Now, okay.
So the idea basically is, if you're too far over, then you'll get a different ending. If you're too far under, you'll get a different ending. But if you're right, you'll get the right ending. But I kind of feel like it needs, rather than you selecting the fraction, it needs to be sort of
more random.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
There we go. Right, it's off again. So how long did it take, this particular game? I mean, was this one of your early games?
I wouldn't say it's my early game. I can't remember. Well, obviously, it was around lockdown time. But I suppose it took me a couple of weeks. Sort of like a few hours each night.
And did your son like it?
Yeah, he did. He seemed to like the cutscenes more than anything else.
And did it help him with his fractions?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I don't know if it's actually sunk in, if he's just watching the cutscenes, but he's definitely
it helped me in mine.
So is your son too young for doing dreams himself?
He's 7, so I wouldn't say he's too young, because I think there's loads of things 7-year-olds can do, even if it's just sort of messing around with sculptures all over the place. But logic and stuff probably is a bit above him at the moment. But yeah, I mean, he doesn't play it as much. I mean, he likes playing other creations more than he likes creating at the moment. But I think over time, as he gets older, he'll like to create more.
So what age do you think, if there's parents out there with kids and they're thinking, whether to get dreams for their kids, what do you think? I mean, 12?
Straight away. I think younger than that, personally. My boy's 11 in January, and he plays dreams intermittently. Really, he'll get a big idea, he'll try and create it, he'll get massively frustrated, and he'll quit, and then he'll come back to it later. But like Frank says, the sculpting tools that are on there, the music creation tools that are on there, I don't think the learning curve's so steep that you couldn't teach it to a very young kid. I think maybe some child-friendly tutorials would be better, to sort of ease you into it a little bit more. But I think 6-7 years old would be fine to dabble with it.
It doesn't necessarily. You don't have to necessarily need to do everything, even if it was just, like I said, just spraying sculptures, using a smear tool everywhere, things like that, so they can sort of create something.
Yeah, but you wouldn't leave a kid alone with the community playlist.
Yeah.
No, definitely not.
So have you ever seen anything really inappropriate, or is it all been pretty clean for you?
It's been clean for me. I suppose a bit gory or scary, maybe, but
most of mine, I've seen everything. It's been pretty clean, I think.
Yeah, I saw a naked fairy yesterday. That's about as close as it's got so far. I'm quite surprised, actually, because Project Spark, they were inundated with penis volcanoes at the beginning. That was all that anybody wanted to make. And I thought, our dreams is going to be the same. It's that, you're going to turn it on, it's going to be penis volcanoes as far as the eyes can see. But it wasn't. I was really surprised. It's rather... Well, much cleaner. The Dreams community is a much cleaner, nicer community.
Yeah, because I think there was a sort of a wave of that in Little Big Planet, I remember.
Yeah. It's it's 14-year-old boys that you know.
Yeah.
I'm assuming. I might be wrong in this. It might be 30-year-old men. Who knows? But, so how do you work together on a project then? How do you get around the fact that there's no multiplayer and you have to take it in turns?
From our experience recently, we talk over text quite a lot over WhatsApp. Sometimes I'm texting Frank at midnight and he's probably in bed. But I usually have these crazy ideas, and Frank knows a lot. Frank's a lot better at logic and a lot better at the process than me. So I always run all of my ideas past him, and he kind of comes up with an idea of how it's going to work. So I'd say I usually present Frank with loads and loads of crazy ideas, and he convinces me that they'll work in the most part. And then we'll sort of decide that I'll create something that I feel like creating, and then Frank will create what he feels like creating, and then we just try and merge it together, don't we? I think.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I find it a little difficult creating where you've got to sort of upload a new version, and the other person can't be working on that version at that time. So I always worry sometimes if I've changed something that Sam's made, I worry that maybe he's done something to it previously. You know, I know it's sort of there in the genealogy somewhere, isn't it? But yeah, I find it a bit slower. I think the creation's a bit slower. I think if we had some sort of multiplayer, I think you could sort of bounce ideas a lot off each other a lot better, and I think the creation time would go up as well.
Yeah, I really think it's difficult with a team, and there's only two of you. I mean, when you get bigger teams than that, it's trying to find the way that you can organise yourself so that you're working on it and you're not worried that if I open it up and do something and he's already got it open, it doesn't tell you until you try to save it that other person has got it open. Am I right?
That's why I like the idea of creating individual assets and then piecing stuff together, because if you're working on individual assets that you can then just export into or import into your project, then you don't necessarily have those major issues. But when you get to the point of creating a scene and putting everything in, we definitely have those problems where Frank's working on it, I want to do something on it, and we're both doing very different things on there, but we just can't do it together. So yeah, a multiplayer function would be fantastic to help with that.
There's one team out there. I can't remember who they are now. I know there's obviously the Mad GFX guys who look like doing an awesome job on Europa Descent, but there was another one that just did it was more of a demo, sort of a demo for their game. But I think they've got a sort of a really good system in place. I'm not too sure 100% what it is, but it works, you know.
But you don't know who they were or what the system is.
I can't remember who they were.
Well, that's great.
Sorry.
That's okay. So you're excited for multiplayer create mode for that. What about for making multiplayer games? Are you up for that?
That's what I'm most excited about, I think.
Yeah, I'm well done for that as well.
Yeah.
Have you made any couch co-op style games?
No.
I've got so there's a game there which is called Stackdash, which the idea of that was to have it based around the co-op couch co-op situation, but I mean it was a project I did ages and ages and ages ago. That still needs to be updated, but yeah, that was definitely supposed to be a couch co-op.
So there we go. Because it's not that much. There's not that many multiplayer games. Is it Jenga? Oh,
yeah,
game over.
Basically.
It's not Jenga. Yeah. I threw it away and then it told me I was dead. Okay. What am I supposed to do? Is it literally?
So it's basically the idea is to build the tower as high as you can go, which is the Jenga method. The problem is that it's quite sensitive, so you've got to hold on to the block and then place them up high and build the tower as high as you can go. The controls need some work because as soon as the block falls in the water, you're in trouble. But the idea was just to have 2 towers and have 2 people seeing a timer to see who could build the tower the highest, and then have different modes, so co-op, so you could both build on the tower and stuff like that. And that's generally the idea, just a chilled out sort of lounge game, really. Yeah.
It's crazily addictive, though, I find.
Well, there we go. I've got one. Okay. There are people in the chat. Guys, I won't be responding to you in the chat, or trying not to look. but I've got the chat up this time. I haven't in the previous interviews, but I thought it might be nice to see what everybody was saying this time, because I've been ignoring them before, which is rude. I shouldn't do that. So Swarmhammer says that when multiplayer comes out, they'll probably making it so that the player limit, they're hoping the player limit is up to 8. What do you think about that? How many players would you like to see in a Dreams game?
I think 4.
Well, I think 8 is a good start, but I suppose with 8 you could have teams of 4.
Yeah, I think the problem at the moment is everyone's been playing what's the game out at the moment? The Fall Guys. Everyone wants these big fun games with loads and loads of people running about, but I think like the stuff that goes behind it is probably more tricky. But I'd be happy with a 4-player multiplayer would be great. Just something nice and small to start off. But yeah, I mean, the bigger the better, I guess.
Would you like to see a 60-player Dreams situation? Make
maybe
Fortnite
in the future. Maybe, but I don't at the moment with thermo and things like that. I don't really see how it's possible to create something, because it's going to be complicated. But I guess I don't know. We'd have to see what people can create. And I think the one thing about Dreams is, which I think everybody's realised, is that a lot of people completely underestimated the whole thing. And now there's stuff that's being created which is blowing people's minds. So who knows? People might be able to create incredible things with it. I don't know.
Well, this works. This stack thing. Yes, I can see this being addictive for people to play. Whoa! Is this a game from this year, or when did you make this one? Oh no!
It was this year. Yeah, it was around February. Just after lockdown. Just after lockdown, that was created. It didn't take too long either, but there's not much to it. That's the thing. It does need a bit of updating and some tweaking. But I wanted to make something where we could have lots of soundtracks that you can skip through. You can listen to some nice music, and you can just chill a little bit. And that was the idea of it, really.
Now I noticed. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just going to say, at some point I'd like to introduce sort of themes as well. So if you get to a certain height, we unlock a new theme.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Well,
the idea also was to have sort of like fishermen coming around and like coming up on boats and things like that, and cheering at you as you get higher and all of that sort of stuff would be quite nice.
I'm not going to get very high at all. I can see that coming straight away. Because as soon as I get that input, that's what happens. It just knocks everything out. This is deceptively difficult.
Yeah, most of the comments on this stream have been you need to tweak the controls, make it a little bit easier. But the idea of it was to make it difficult. But I think we need something in there, the ability to spin the brick a little bit better and things like that, maybe.
Yeah, I did toy around with the mechanics of it, but I just couldn't get it. It didn't feel right to me.
Well, talking about making things easier, what do you use? You use a DS4 or Move controllers?
I use the DS4.
Yeah, I mainly use the DS4. I do use the moves if I'm sculpting something. It definitely makes a difference. I find it. While you can still do it with the DualShock, I find it with the moves it's much quicker. Flows much more quicker.
And I take it you use the DS4 with the gyroscope. You don't use the new control scheme.
Yes, no, definitely with the gyroscope. Yeah.
How long did it take you guys to master moving the imp around?
Oh, seconds.
Seconds? Really?
Yeah, it's like second nature.
Really? Is this a joke?
No, I found it really easy. Honestly, I found it really
wow.
easy.
I still haven't mastered it.
I mean, the drift still gets me. I don't know. I'm hoping there's going to be a fix for that at some point. But the drift
I'd like to know what causes the drift because I don't get it.
No.
I don't get drift. I very rarely get drift, and if I do, it's not visible drift. I've lost it now. It's gone. There we are.
I think you may have got one of the highest scores on this.
No, that was really low.
The scores are surprisingly low on this, which is probably the reason why I need to recalibrate the controls.
53. I had 5. I'm pretty sure that I'm no, look, 17. There we are. That's where I am. That's where I am with most of these things. I'm right at the bottom always. I'm not going for high scores.
No, it's the experience.
It's the experience, not the high scores. When I find a game that I'm actually good at, I will be all over those high scores. But at the moment, so is the tower then? Is this your big project right now? Because this is an introduction to an upcoming game.
Yeah, it's huge. It's our huge project, isn't it, Frank?
Yeah, it's huge as well. It was we kind of like Sam said, it was Sam's idea, it's Sam's sort of baby, and I really liked the idea of it, and we both sort of found out we got the same sort of interest to do with art style, but we kind of rushed this. I say rushed. I did many late nights trying to get the booth.
Oh dear, it's breaking up a bit.
Yeah.
What, my audio?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so we kind of rushed this through for the booth, and unfortunately we didn't quite get it in, but luckily we sort of messaged Jamie at Media Molecule, and he featured it on the up and coming live stream.
So you didn't have a booth at the Dreamscom?
No, we didn't get it in time.
Oh no!
We had some sort of issue. I think it was not made public or something like that. And yeah, so
we were discussing with Jamie about 48 hours before the cut off, and we thought we'd done what we'd needed to do to get it released, and Jamie messaged us shortly before the window, and we were both at work, so we couldn't get on and do the adjustment that we needed to do, which was really disappointing because obviously we spent so much time trying to get it right that we couldn't get it in. Yeah. And
this has actually been updated since it went on the live stream. It's actually been updated with audio. It's got voice audio and things like that.
They added some more booths after the fact. Did they not? Could they not have put?
Yeah, we didn't. Yeah, we were kind of deep into doing this project, weren't we, at the time? I think we must have missed it. But I mean, I think the booth is in the collection. Is the booth in the collections, Frank?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So the booth's in the collections for people to look at. But yeah, it's not. Unfortunately, it didn't get in there.
Oh. Well, they didn't give us an awful lot of time, to be fair, did they? Really?
It was a bit vague. I don't know if it's a bit vague sometimes whether it had to be public, playable, what you had to tag it with, things like that. Maybe a little bit complicated, maybe.
Yeah, I had difficulty with my booth because um, I didn't want to release some of the assets in the game we were working on,
Yeah.
and everything had to be public, and it was like I don't know how to get around this.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the problems we had as well. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm sure a lot of other people had the same issue. So I ended up putting in things that weren't in the game, just
Yeah.
so but never mind, it's all done now. Right, anyway, the tower. Let's have a look at this. Maybe you can. Is it? I have played this, but I can't remember if it's. Is it playable thing or
It's like a intro movie.
like a movie? Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. Your logo's interesting. Who designed that
Eliza
one?
went missing around 18
Yeah, that was
months
me.
ago.
Yeah,
Just up and disappeared. We were never the closest, but it's not like her to cut me off. It's not like we don't have our baggage.
Again,
We
I
were
didn't quite
separated
like
as
it.
teenagers when our parents
Grew on
died.
me.
Although we lived in different places with different people, we always kept in touch.
I
moved to this
have a
creepy-ass
hate
place 6
relationship
weeks ago.
with
Every
this
time I
effect.
ask anyone about her, they look at me
What's
as though
that?
I'm crazy.
I don't like it.
Even the local
Like the
police
sepia
don't seem
The
type
right.
effect.
the glitch effects.
It's
I
something
really
about
don't
yeah.
like
it
them.
doesn't seem right.
What with the logo?
No, the whole looking grainy
Oh, I see.
thing.
Plastered posters and flyers everywhere.
It masks
turning into a daily job.
flaws, which is
Asshole.
pretty good.
That's what he put in.
The sooner she turns up, the better.
I
Then
don't
I'm
mind
gone.
it so much when if it's supposed to be representing a
living out of a
memory or
suitcase
something
in
like
a
that,
rundown
which is
guest house.
obviously
The only place I could
what you got
find.
there.
Out of
It's
the
when
blue,
people use it
just when
throughout
I
the
was ready to
entire
give up
game,
all
it's
hope,
like,
I got a call.
it just
Oh yeah, no, it's not in the game.
yeah, it or they use it to try and make their game look like 8-bit.
I got your number from the posters
Oh,
you keep
yeah.
leaving around town. You're causing quite a stir, I can tell you. Listen, it's probably best we don't talk in person.
So the female in this video is voiced by Hyman Trouble as well,
Right?
and the male voice is voiced by
Your sister,
Frank.
I'm guessing.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I saw her wandering around Blackward Woods. Oh,
But in the game where we will have so much dialogue, it's going to be crazy. So thankfully Hyman Trouble has
That
agreed
was
to
pretty
do
fucking creepy.
all of the voice.
But what other choice do I have at this point? I'll head out first thing and check it out.
But I'm not assuming anything, but I presume she's in America, so you got a delay there with the time zones for getting things done. Yeah?
Yes, so she does stream parties generally at about midnight, 1 o'clock. So in order to get anything done, I speak to her as well by text, WhatsApp. So I'll write out a load of lines of dialogue. I'll send them to her via text. She'll work on them, and then we'll chat about whether we like them, whether we don't. Luckily enough, she's pretty bang on when it comes to stuff like that. So it doesn't really have to play with it, which is good.
So did you just contact her and go, we really like your voice, can you do it? Or
It was it was on one of the Facebook Dreams groups, which I've gotten rid of Facebook now because I can't stand I can't stand most social media, so I'm off of everything apart from Twitter for Dreams.
Yes.
But on the Facebook Dreams group, I just posted, is anyone interested in doing a female voice for my character, which was not for this project. It was for a project that I've sort of binned off, which was a Rocketeer project. And she messaged back and said, I'll have a go at it. And from there, we just got into talking, and we started sharing our projects and stuff like that. And she's just really interested in doing it, which is really good. So yeah.
it's hard sometimes for people that want to collab, who they don't know how to start, they don't know where to go.
Yeah.
You got any recommendations about that for people?
I think the best recommendation I can give is that there are loads of people that I've found, like myself, that really want to collab with people for collaboration's sake. But if you can show people a snapshot of the project that they're working on, then a lot more people are more likely to want to get involved in it, instead of just sort of collaborating. Because I think a lot of people think that when you ask them to collaborate on something, they think they want you to do the hard work because they necessarily can't. But I think if
Eliza
you
went
show people a
missing
snapshot of
around
what you're
18
creating and
months
they're
ago.
interested in it,
Just up
people
and disappeared.
will go into it. Twitter's good for that, I think. For me, Facebook worked, but yeah, and following people on through Dreams as well is really good as well. I've messaged people on Dreams, Sourceless One, who makes music. I've messaged him just through the PlayStation chat before and said, I've got these lyrics, could you do something with them? And he come back to me and said, yeah, let's do something. So we're kind of working on a bit of that as well. So I think don't be afraid to reach out to people. If they don't answer you, and that's not a problem, is it? But some people will.
Yeah. Do you get a lot of requests from people to do stuff? Either of you?
Well, I suppose I've had a few people add me as collaborators on things, and I've sort of messaged them back. I said, or what do you want to do with it? And then they sort of say, oh, whatever you want, and I never really get anything else, and I just wonder if they're just doing it for an imp quest or something like that. So I don't pursue any of those. But there was one person who's trying to do Destroy All Humans sort of parody. And he asked me to sort of revamp one of his intro scenes, which I did. He really liked it, and he wanted me to revamp his menu screen. But at that point, the booth thing happened, and I was all in that. So I said, "Oh, sorry, I'm not going to get around to it now." And he was okay. He said, "Yeah, just whenever." And I suppose time-wise, I still haven't gone back to that. I've been doing other things, But,
I mean, I get requests, which are clearly imp quests to do things. I also get requests, people saying, "I'm stuck, help," and it's like I'd like to help them out, but I find it very difficult to understand other people's microchips.
Yeah, me too.
How do you go about, the two of you, when you make microchips? Do you understand each other's way of doing it? Can you read each other's chips?
I think Frank can read what I've done, because a lot of the time when I'm doing stuff, because I'm a little bit behind him in terms of the logic stuff. A lot of the time before I ask him for sort of the idea behind how to put it together. For me, I can't understand anyone else's logic. But as I've grown into it, I've managed to be able to build my own logic fine. So I think a lot of what we do is I'll do a logic for something. If it doesn't work, I'll ask Frank to take a look at it. And if it works, we just leave it working, I think, is the way we do it.
I see a remix button. Shall I be sneaky here and have a look and see how tidy your chips are?
Yeah, do it.
Is there any in here?
That's Frank's work, so I'm happy for you to...
Usually I like if it depends how quickly I do things. If I'm taking my time, then I like to do things like methodically and lay them out all neat and everything.
This one's okay. It's just a bit of art. So there's no chips in here.
There is some logic, I think.
Is there?
Maybe there isn't.
It's hiding. It's hiding really well. If it is.
The dungeon scene.
Yeah, maybe there isn't then.
Maybe it's not in that one. Oh, okay. Well, we'll look at it. We'll just look at it then. There we are.
Yes.
Lovely. In its black and white goodness. Is that actually made in black and white? That one. It's not a filter on the camera.
I think there must be a what should we call it? What's the gadget? God, I should know this.
The skybox?
Sky. There's a Sun and Sky, but also the effects. Is it effects chip or something?
Yeah, it's through the effects chip and changing the same places where you can change the sort of sepia and grain.
Yeah.
I think.
Taking all the colour out.
Hang on.
But that scene
that
there
one.
is.
Grain effects. That one.
That's right. That scene there is going to be one of the scenes for the tower, so that's all part of the tower project.
So are you going to have parts of this game in black and white then?
The majority of it is in black and white, or black and white with an orange tint, so like a sepia tint. But there's going to be elements. So what we wanted to do, and you might have noticed it from the intro videos. Well, maybe not so much, but we wanted to highlight certain colours, so to make certain aspects stand out. So for in that scene, you'll have to make a decision as to where to go. So you can go straight on through the corridor, you can go down the trapdoor, or you can do something else. And the idea is to make things pop out. So as well as the narrators telling you, you can also see what's there as well.
Why does that look like? I know it's a spider, but why does that look like a bat? It's got one. Isn't that interesting? You know, one of those bats with the antenna thing coming out of their head.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the most updated version of that, I think, is the one with the QuickTime event one with the protagonist stood in front of it. Yeah.
Whoa! Look at that. There we go. Ooh, it's very graphic novel looking. You're going with a cartoon
that was the look we
style.
were going for.
Yeah, cool. Oh god. Oh my god. Quick time events. I'm gonna get eaten. I'm gonna get eaten.
The audio and the logic on this needs to be worked on. It does need to be worked on, but the character itself will dodge. It will throw punches and things like that as you play through the game. So yeah, this is sort of like an early combat demo, really, I guess.
Yeah, it's a great look. It's unusual. I haven't seen anything like that in Dreams, which is always a good thing when you're the first to do it. How do you feel about people copying your ideas if you've done it first?
The idea for this game itself is pretty unique. The style itself, I think, is actually the most difficult thing to replicate for us. And we've done loads of things that are additions to this, which we struggle to get the same look for it. But I mean, if people can do it, I mean, that's cool. But the actual game, I can't see anybody coming up with a copy of it, really.
No, especially with your writing. I think your writing is amazing. Where you've got everything. It sounds script that's all laid out already, really.
It's a story-driven adventure with multiple endings, multiple routes, multiple outcomes. So the replayability, you can replay it lots and lots and lots of times. But to get the victory sometimes takes you having to play it, fail at it, and then go into it again. Initially, it was supposed to be sort of dice roll based when it comes to the combat, but we wanted to take out the element of chance and add in the element of skill. So with that quick time event, you've got the skill level there, but with the different monsters and things that we'll have, which will be randomized, that will ramp up in difficulty as you progress through the different elements of the tower.
I just popped into your booth, and she's making lots of screamy noises, and while you were talking very sensibly about the game, she's busy going, "Where am I? Pick up the phone!" It's like, pick up the phone. So I'm sorry if that sort of undermined what you were saying. So this is the booth that didn't make it in. Oh, a shame.
Yeah.
Well.
It was the thermo limit was a real killer for us because we wanted to get the rat in there and we wanted to get the effects in there. Yeah, so we did spend a lot of time on it.
Yeah, were the easiest things to do. I had difficulty with the music. My music was too thermo heavy, so I couldn't put the music to my game in. I had to record the music to my game in order to put the music. It was ridiculous.